Misha, welcome. Welcome, Zoomers as well. Welcome to our Thursday evening conversations. And I've been away for a little while. It's good to be back. Welcome. Is there anyone here first time? I know I recognize people, but welcome first time. My name is Michelle, and I'm one of the co-MCs on Thursday. And every Thursday we meet like this, but we have a number of interesting programs and very spiritual when you obviously are here for spiritual journey. Oh, that's usually why we're here. Tonight is the power. I love the topic because the thing that popped in my mind today was may you live in interesting times. And that I looked into, and it is a Chinese proverb. And on the one hand, it seems like it's a blessing. May you live in, have interesting times, but actually it's a sideways curse that the interesting times that we live in are not, they're filled with challenges. May you live in challenging times is a polite way of saying it in my interpretation. And these seem to be, and I can only speak for myself, challenging times in terms of everywhere I move. And if I listen to the news, and I was a news junkie. It just lent myself, I was in politics, and you had to be a news junkie. You had to know, what was going on. But now everything, there's so many different sources and there's so many different things that you're hearing. And it's so many different ways of hearing it, and it presents itself challenges that may not even exist. Half the things and other things going on, we don't even know if it's true or not. I was scammed the other day. I didn't even know it until I knew it. So these are things that we have to deal with now. Right? I've been around a long time and new things. But tonight, the subject is how to the power. Because one thing I have learned studying with the Brahma Kumaris is we have innate powers. We're essentially born with these powers, but how do we unleash these powers? They're there. How do we find them? So tonight we're going to talk about the power to adjust and the power to tolerate. And probably to me, and why I like this subject, is it's probably the most important things we need to get through, if you will. How do we cross every challenge? And I have to say, sometimes there are days that every moment seems like a challenge. We have to make choices every moment. Should I watch this? Should I do this? Someone's coming over here. What should I say to them? So facing these challenges with peace and stability, say it, peace and stability, and live well in any situation that comes your way. That is really what tonight, and I'm happy to say that it's Brother Erik who is doing double duty tonight. He's up there. He is our AV master, but he's going to be down here. He's going to be working both tonight. But his work, particularly with Raja Yoga meditation and his instruction, is going to lead to, I think for me, clarity in that. So these interesting times, we will be able to face them. And I was thinking for myself, and I don't know what made me think of it. I always use tennis as a metaphor. I love tennis. But when you hit the ball in tennis, you have to be stable and your foot planted. And if you want to hit the ball well, the technique is it's called a sit jump, and you're ready and you wait for the ball to come and you can hit it well. How do you do that spiritually? How do you face the challenges spiritually? And there's one way that I've learned here, and that is to realize that you're not alone, that there is a higher source we call Baba, God. And once I know that, and I know this, that he's always with me, always. Sometimes I forget the moment, but if I know that, my feet are planted and I'm going to hit the ball correctly. And that's really what this is going to be about. Any challenge that comes my way, I know I have grown. I used to like to react and yell and, stand my ground. I don't have to anymore. I am able to adjust to the situation and I'm able to tolerate. And the final frontier for me is to love the porcupine. I love the teddy bear. Anyone who's a teddy bear, you naturally gravitate to that teddy bear. But what about the porcupine? The porcupine is prickly and crosses you and creates challenges. Can I hug a porcupine? Well, I'm working on it. And I'm starting to be able to hug porcupines. I'm able to see beyond that and seeing the goodness, and people are perfect in their imperfection. And I can love and admire that. So, but I know we're going to have a much more lyrical and more spiritually deep instruction tonight, thankfully for you and for me. And that's going to be with Brother Erik. And I can't wait because it's always a treat when, how many of you have seen Brother Erik up there, right? It's really wonderful. So I know I'm going to learn. And Brother Erik, are you going to be coming down or do we have another? Okay. So let's get ready. Tennis. And I'm ready to go up and have my feet planted and be able to face every challenge today that I meet, but with love and equanimity. That's really what it's all about, to respond with love and equanimity. And I'm getting there. I'm a work in progress, but Brother Erik. Oh, I didn't even say, Brother Erik, who are you? You are the direct, doing this for so long. Forget it. Forget it? Really? Yeah. Brother Erik is very special. How about that?
To you.
To all. Brother Erik.
Going to adjust some. Summertime is a time of change of schedule and activities, and not everybody is always here. So we're trying to do a couple things at the same time. Try not to touch the microphone. That's what happens when you do that. That's why when someone's up in the sound room, they mute it until it's in place. I'll try to remember that. But good evening. Welcome. Are you comfortable? Are you cool enough? We had to regas the air conditioner for some reason over the winter. It loses it, and then it's kind of like a panic when it's 90 degrees. So hoping that you are here and well and in the right spot for the next hour or so. Because I've been asked to talk about the powers. And this is Global Harmony House. This is going to work out. But oftentimes we can teach the is that off? Okay, so it's just a transient. Sorry. Well, we teach Raja Yoga meditation. And we've been doing that last month for some of the main lessons. If you were here, you would have gotten some of that background and instruction. And one of the lessons is on the eight powers of the soul. And so we thought, well, let's do two in the sessions, 4 sessions, 8 powers, do pretty good math. And so that's how tonight is the power to tolerate and the power to pack up. And so when we practice our meditation, we start to develop a certain, and maybe that's me, maybe I've developed so much power that the static of the, is kind of coming off. And maybe there's something I can do or not, I don't know. But you're going to have to tolerate this, okay? See how that goes. But to introduce that, we have a picture. I hope some of you have seen it. And if you haven't, I'm going to describe it right now and show it to you. But the power to tolerate is identified with a child, a youth, and throwing a stone at this abundant tree because it's from India. It's a mango tree. How many have ever seen a mango tree? Okay, a few. How many of you ever had a mango? Who's not had a mango? Okay, so you know what that is. They're kind of big and heavy. And sorry, all right, perfect. And so when the tree starts to bear fruit, because the mangoes are heavy, what happens to the branches? They kind of droop. They get, fruit trees probably do this. But in this scenario, in this picture, I want you to see a youth trying to throw something at the tree with the fruit because he wants that. He wants to have what's there. And that's represent representing the power to tolerate. You might kind of wonder, well, how does that work out? But the power to tolerate is from the tree. Because when the tree doesn't have something, it's kind of standing straight. But when it starts to have a lot, it starts to bend and give. And it's incredibly significant because what that indicates for us, how I want you to think about that, is that when you have something, peace, calm, energy, abundance, contentment, then somebody else is going to want to have that also. And it kind of works that way. When you are joyful or laughing and you meet someone and you have that energy, there's kind of that transference. The opposite, which I hope you don't practice, works also. When you are down and upset and angry and you meet someone, you're kind of giving them that energy too. I have some neighbors that I kind of look out for because I know every time I meet them, they're nice, but they complain. No matter when it is, it's in the early morning, it's in the afternoon, and they're just, that's their nature. And it's kind of a heavy interaction. It doesn't uplift me. And so I'm not trying to change them and I'm not trying to totally avoid them. But if I can have my own thoughts and my own energy, I would choose that. So there's an exchange that goes on. And when we have something, we can tolerate. When we have that ability to feel the energy that is there, then we can use that in the situation. I'm going to give you a situation as an example. Went to India in February, was planning to come back at the beginning of March. Everything was set, all was fine until planes didn't go. I think a lot of the planes are still not going. I don't know what the details are, but I was in India when there was some fighting in the Middle East, and planes weren't flying. They weren't going to Emirates. Emirates wasn't going. Etihad wasn't going. Dubai was shut down. All the airports in the Midwest and in the Middle East closed. And there were hundreds of individuals, some of our friends, whose flights were canceled. And so, what to do? And so, my specific case was waiting because I had a flight, I think, on the 4th or 5th. The end of February, things shut down, and airlines want to fly because that's how they make money. So they were scrambling around. And eventually, the flight I was scheduled to be on took off, but we had no idea what was going to happen. everything was a mess. Okay, where was the staff? Where was the plane? Um, they had to figure it out. Things were being late, the connections. So there was a lot of stress available and was waiting to board a connecting flight. I think it was in Ahmedabad to Delhi. We're looking at our watch. Are we going to get on the plane? And are we going to make it? There was that kind of feeling there. And if you've ever been kind of stuck at the airport at the gate, you kind of recognize people. And sometimes you're just standing there, chat with this. And so there was this individual who kind of wanted to express himself and was complaining. You're not going to make my flight. I can not get a connection. And there was this real nervous energy. There wasn't really anything that we could do about it. We just had to wait. Maybe it'll go, maybe it won't. And so I made the decision that there's nothing I can do. So let me just be here and think of something else. Have an awareness that, I practice meditation. I try to be peaceful. Let me practice that. Let me choose to use the qualities that I've practiced and hold on to and use these now. Talk to him, a little this, something like that. Not long chats. But that was a choice to tolerate. And it wasn't a sense of tolerating while you are also complaining inside. Does that make some sense? Sometimes when we tolerate, it's like, I can't do this. Do I have to do this? And then there's this negative energy going on in our. There's this sense that I am also having this feeling that I have to put up with something. That's not the tolerating that we're talking about. Tolerating is that there's an abundance of something, the tree offering its fruit by bending down. That if I can recognize that I'm in a situation that I can't change, let me access my spiritual power, things that I've built up with, and use that in this situation and offer something. Just a vibration, a quiet, a peace, something like that, rather than the nervous, negative energy another individual. Does that make some sense? You're able to see that to be able to tolerate for us really means to an accumulation of positive energy, peace, love, happiness, contentment that you can use when you can't change the situation. I'll just tolerate this. And it's a choice that I'm going to think differently about the situation and not allow myself to have the lack of control be the dominant force that brings anxiety and fear and worry and upset. Tolerate it. This is what I'm going to do. Power to adjust is a little different, but they're connected. It's very interesting. I was thinking about this because in the picture, if you've seen it or not, you see a mountain with a stream coming down the mountain. And the stream, river, as it grows, it's not straight. It curves, it moves. So this blue wiggly line through a green field, and it comes into the ocean with a large body of water, whatever it is. It's going to be an ocean for us. The power to adjust is that it has this idea, so to speak, if the river has ideas, thoughts. Well, we have a thinking river, and it's thinking that it wants to go to the lowest level and rejoin the ocean. That's actually where it came from, right? Moisture goes up, comes down, lands into the mountains, comes down, the cycle of water. So this river says, I want to go there, and whatever's going to happen, I'm going to just remember my goal. I'm going to move forward, and if there's a rock over here. Well, I'm just going to move over in this direction. And if this doesn't work out, then I'm going to go this way. And that's what rivers do. And say we're going to go back where we came from. So whatever's in front of them, they adjust to that. They maneuver around that. They're able to somehow figure out alternatives to being stuck. They're not tolerating an obstacle. They're adjusting to it. And the adjusting is the ability to see what the situation is and to do something in that, take an action. Same trip, lots of adjusting. The power to adjust was taking place because the power to tolerate is like, okay, let me wait until my trip comes up. There's nothing I can do. Let me be peaceful. But there were a lot of others who chose to do power to adjust. My flight's been canceled. What do I have to do? And they went into action. And they were able to, some went around Asia, Japan, Thailand, San Francisco to get to Boston, that way to get around. Some tried to figure it out. Some didn't have money. They had to find somebody else. Lots of little stories that were there. But there was this sense that there's a power to adjust. I'm going to adjust and take action in this situation. And it is kind of interesting to think that in all cases, we face that. Do I want to just stay here and change my thinking, tolerate whatever's going on? Or do I want to take an action and adjust what I'm doing to maybe find benefit? And the simple difference of those two comes if you are in a multi-line checkout, Target, Art, something like that. Or if you're driving on a two-lane road, highway, going up to Albany, Peace Village, or coming back down. Should I stay in this lane or should I go in the other? Have you ever been in that situation? Because typically we'll want to go through the quicker lane. And so sometimes it works out. Somebody said the statistics are the line that you're in is the slowest one. And when you move, that will be the slow. Has anybody ever done that? You're in the line, it's going really slow, and then you think, oh, here's a shorter one. You go over there, and then this one moves a lot faster, and the person who was behind you is now checking out. It's like, and then you go back. Okay. So the power to tolerate, should I stay in the line and be peaceful, or should I, do something and adjust and take an action? So you can check and see what your mind is doing at that time. But oftentimes, when we look at these two, the power to tolerate is used when there's something that we can't change. And so we change ourselves. Let me see this situation differently. Maybe move into another space or awareness at this moment. And then that change, that power, allows us to experience what we really are looking for. Calm, peace, happiness, joy. I can tolerate this situation. It's okay. It's going to be fine because we choose that. We choose to tolerate. Not that we're forced to tolerate. That makes a difference. You have to stand in this line. You can't move on this line. We resent that. I'm going to stay in this line because it's okay. It's going to move. I'll get there. Going back and forth, saving 10 seconds isn't a big deal. We just tolerate. He gives the qualities that I've got. And when we adjust, it's more not changing our mind, but it's making a decision to change our actions. I think I can do something different that would be beneficial. Let me put that into action. And so when we adjust and use that power, we're recognizing that there's alternatives and that we need to do something. And it's not always clear which one we're going to do in whatever situation it is. But if you tolerate something and you should be adjusting, that's a problem. And if you're doing actions when you should actually, it's not going to make any sense. It's not going to have any outcome. It's not the right thing to do. So we have to be kind of engaged. And I like the commentary that was played because one of the qualities that was beneficial and necessary is silence and the ability to be aware what you're thinking and to be have a space that allows you to um, feel what's right, think what's right, understand what's going on, process the information you have. Most solutions, answers come from silence. I know that it works for me, and I have a technique that seems to work out. That if I'm trying to figure something out, collect the data, collect the information, think about it. If it's easy, then just move forward. But if it's a question or I'm not quite sure, oftentimes I need just to think about what I've got, consider the alternatives, set it aside, do something else. Fix dessert or pick up the sticks outside here, or something like that. To change. And something inside of me, and I'm going to say of us, plays with that and works on that subconsciously. So that when I come back to it, I see it differently. There's been some silence, there's been some quiet, there's been some space in that process of making a decision. And so it becomes easier or clearer. I know that other times, if there's noise, I have a harder time concentrating. But coming from that place of silence, holding the question in there, the nature of the self, our spiritual self, gives us guidance. And so creating some time, space, quiet is very helpful for us when we make the decision. Should I do something? Should I wait? Should I practice one or the other? And in this decision choicing that might take place, sometimes we need a additional boost or trigger or uh, light source beginning. Because when we tolerate, sometimes, I wasn't happy necessarily. It's like, oh, I get to wait a couple more hours for my flight. Maybe it'll go. Wasn't that kind of like, yes. Um, but it's a sense that what am I going to do so that I can not hurt myself with the thoughts of negativity? And I'm going to offer that when we are upset and we're fearful and we're angry, that's a destructive energy. It doesn't seem like much, but over time has the great power to destroy. And so I don't want to go there. So I need to change. And so in the interaction with this other individual who was very anxious and nervous, and upset, angry, and you can kind of feel it. Changing the mindset. Changing the mindset that how can I hold on to my peace? Can I tolerate this? How can I somehow look at the situation different? And this energy was heavy. And I wanted to actually see what I could do. And so instead of me kind of reflecting back that energy, they're angry, they're upset, they're mad, they're kind of looking for you to help them and join them or something like that. Changing from being angry, here's a person who doesn't have much spiritual power. And so let me kind of click into tolerance by being like that tree, bending, bowing, offering, and seeing through the eyes of mercy. And to have that, instead of being angry with someone, understand that there's a need and a lack. And so, what can I do? So, let me see through this lens of mercy and access some other energy so that I can be in a different state and that is not going to feed the negativity of the other. So that will either separate us or simmer down that bubbling energy. That makes some sense. It makes sense to be able to change our thinking about the situation, which will move us into another experience of it. That's the power. I'm not going to see this the way you're seeing it. I'm going to see it in a way that I can use my innate qualities and create the space and the experience that I want. That's the power to tolerate. Whatever's happening, what am I going to think? What am I going to do? How am I going to see it? And how am I going to create the experiences and the feelings that I want? That's power. Power to tolerate. I can deal with what's ever going on because I am mentally clear, strong, have an energy of peace, and will apply that here and hold on to that. So whatever you're going to do, I can tolerate that because I've got what I want. When we have the power to adjust, sometimes we need a trigger or a thought that might move it forward. And have you ever had a situation that's kind of forcing you into make a decision, but you don't do it? You might know what you need to do, but somehow it's not happening. Sometimes in those situations, we need courage and courage to say, yes, this is what I need to do, and let me do it. And one of the elements that was also mentioned in the commentary tonight was move in that direction. I'm not sure if you were all here, or whoever was here. Did you hear that? There were some footprints on the sand and kind of showing this. You didn't see the picture. It was a commentary. But to move in that direction, we don't have to do great big things all the time. We can do little things. Long time ago, it was the salami solution. Okay, someone mentioned it to me. We'll have to figure out another one here. More on the vegetarian side. But you can't eat a whole salami, which is a long concoction. But if you slice it up into little bits, it disappears over time. And so it's useful to understand that if there's an issue that we're dealing with, we don't have to have the ultimate final solution, voila. But we might be able to move in that direction that we want. Okay? If you wanted to move and be close to Harmony House, that would be great. But it doesn't mean that you need to, go to the bank and get cash and give it to the first place that's there to do it. You might want to get a realtor, you might want to check things out, you might want to investigate things, but you're moving in that direction to make a decision, to see how it feels and how it gets closer. And so it's easier to kind of have that accomplishment. I want to move close, so let me go online and see what's available, what the prices are. A little bit of energy, and it's moving you forward. in any task that you want. And then when you do that, you have success. I wanted to just turn on my computer and go to Redfin or whatever they are and see that little step of courage, making a decision to act and have the power to adjust because you wanted to change, allows you then to say, hey, I accomplished something. I'm starting to move in that direction, starting to take action for myself. Because the power to tolerate, if you're living in a place, and I'm just making this up, if it's leaky and it's overpriced and it doesn't have, whatever you want and you're unhappy, to use the power to tolerate might not be the right thing to do. Maybe the power to adjust. It's like, hey, let me see myself in another situation. Let me have the idea that I could do something else, imagine that, and start to see myself moving in that direction. And then we can take action. We can adjust. I see the power to tolerate kind of for something that we can't control and the power to adjust for something that we can. Does that make some sense in the difference and the contrast of those two? Because I want you to think right now, go into a little silence. What's a concern that you have? What is a situation that pulls your attention? I want to call it really a problem, but that sense of, is there something that um, bothers me, irritates me, calls my attention, needs to have some sort of dealing with? Okay. Maybe it's what you're going to do. Maybe it's what you've been doing. Maybe it's someone around you. Maybe there's lots of things that pull our attention. Does that make some sense? Everybody have something? And think, does it need me to adjust my mind on how I look at it and I tolerate it? Or does it need me to think and act on it and have a little courage? Are you willing to spend a couple minutes in the silence thinking about that and thinking about whatever it is that's been going on for you through both of those lenses? If I tolerate, what am I doing? What is going to happen? And I deal with that. And if it's something that's being tolerant isn't the right power at this time, we figure out what little step I might make to do something beneficial for myself. Think of your current situation. Think of it through the two different lenses. We'll spend just a few minutes on that, two or three. Zoom out. I'm going to bring you back. Little experiment. Any thoughts about that? Did you find something that concerns you, first of all? Any heads moving? Yes. Do all of you have things going on in your life? Did you look at it from the two different perspectives? What happens if I tolerate in this situation? What happens if I do something in this situation? Adjust. Is there a difference? Is that a hand? Or are you just okay? We'll come back to that because think of your answers. Because what I want to offer is that these powers are not independent and they don't come from nowhere. We talk about the eight powers here when we do meditation, when we practice Raja Yoga. And that is the kind of source of our ability to be flexible, to have power. And it's kind of the foundational part of what we've been talking about last month. Who am I? What are my qualities? What is my nature? How do I see myself? And the more I practice that, the more I'm in tune with that, the more I access those qualities and have this energizing thought process, meditation, yoga, the more that automatically inside of me gets clear, and automatically it's easier for me to see what I should be doing. And that's the purpose. Purpose of our practice is to transform ourselves. Who am I? Spiritual being, using physical body, moving through, trying to express and connect to the qualities that I care for and look for and fundamentally have. Peace, love, happiness. And so when I practice seeing myself that way, when I practice kind of thinking about myself that way, when I see myself at peace, when I focus in on those qualities, that energy becomes the foundation for the power to tolerate or to adjust or any of the others. Just focusing on those two today. So that if I want to have a clear mind, focused mind, full mind, powerful mind, I have to practice that. I have to practice creating those thoughts so that when I'm in a situation, I will be dominant in how I'm going to go through the situation. I couldn't make the planes fly any faster. I didn't have any gas to give them. Actually, when we left, we had to go to Rome, India, go around Saudi Arabia to refuel and then fly back. Longer trip. Nothing I could do about it. But I did choose to enjoy the process. I chose to say, in my thinking, I have the ability to see what's wrong, focus in on the limitations, fill my mind with stress and anger and upset and why me and all that stuff. I didn't do that. Didn't want to do that. I know that that's not much fun. I was like, okay, let me use the awareness, power of my thinking. Let me tolerate what I have to, go into another thought, create another perspective, enjoy this moment. And when it was time to do something different, let me go into action. And I can see clear when to do what. Because it comes from our daily practice. Those little steps moving in there, that's what our thinking is. That's what Thursday night's about. Just a little activity on a regular basis is life transforming. It moves us to where we want to go. We feel good when we do it. We want to do it a little more. We get better at it. And pretty soon we have created the life with the qualities that we want. When we practice our meditation, when we practice our thinking, when we're aware of that, these powers automatically come. Sounds good, is great. I'm going to pause, see where we're at, and see if there's any comments, thoughts, responses about what was said or your little experiments. Are you okay for that? I think we have a microphone. I think we can turn that on. I think it can grow legs and move around. So anybody want to offer us thoughts, respond? We have one there.
Oh, Eric, I'm a little anxious because next month my husband and me both were invited to a wedding, which is all the way in Bali.
In Bali?
In Bali.
And you're anxious about going to Bali?
Not good. I stopped traveling a few years.
Okay. Yeah, I
I
understand.
never
Okay. It sounds great to us, but I know what traveling can be.
Oh, and it's a 36-hour journey because there's no direct flight.
Okay. I
So he
completely,
has to make a stop in India, uh, 8 hours at the airport for the next connection.
okay.
So the whole trip is gonna take 36 hours.
Yeah.
And you know, whenever you take a flight, you always have to go 1 or 2 hours earlier.
Sure.
So add those two.
Okay.
So I've been telling him quite you, and then on the way back, he wants to stop in Mumbai, and the monsoon is going to be good.
Well, that sounds pretty exciting.
No, but it's not a good time to.
All right.
There are so many mosquitoes and
Okay.
you name it. So that's causing me a little anxiety.
I'm sure. Yeah, it
But
sounds like it.
It's his friend's granddaughter's wedding. So he really wants to give support to his friend and go.
Okay.
But I don't know why the thought of flights nowadays makes me angry.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
And so, if you want to say you have a commitment here during that time, then maybe that's
No, but there's no other commitment,
Okay.
unfortunately.
well,
And you see, his friend is a widower.
okay.
So he's our neighbor also. So they're very close.
Yeah.
So he's saying, I don't want to hurt his feelings.
Okay.
And his friend is so generous. He's told him, he said, I'm going to pay for your rooms when you come to Bali.
Okay.
So,
Right.
but
Well,
that doesn't affect.
yeah.
Yeah. Take a walk. Surfing. I stopped traveling 2 or 3 years ago. Oh, no.
Yeah. You will be able to think about that. Yeah, everybody's got good ideas.
I'll ask my husband.
Yeah. Get a replacement. There you go. That would be the power to adjust.
Of his going, you see. That's what's bothering me, right? And
Okay.
it's bothering our 2 children who are over him.
Yeah.
They also keep telling him, Dad, why do you have to go? It's so far.
Okay.
And then you're going in the worst time of the year in India. It's going to be super hot.
It'll be hot.
They're going through a heat wave over there.
All right. Yes.
Over 100 degrees.
There you go. And you will be there. Congratulations. Okay.
I'm not
Okay. Well, we can't solve the problem, but it is how are you going to look at it? And are you getting excellent? Yeah. Yeah. Situation. Okay. So you relax, focus in on a successful trip, and see yourself happy at all ways. See how that plays. Okay. When are you going? When are you supposed to go? When are you planning to go? Okay. Okay. Yeah. If I can make a suggestion, yeah, don't go coach. That's a long time. Okay. And so therefore, because we don't know, we need to empower ourselves so that we can be stable with whatever's going to happen. That's the intent. What do I practice? How do I nurture myself? How can I start to hold on to a thought of being peaceful, even though there's all this stuff that's going to go on and challenge me that I may not want to have to deal with. But that's what you have to deal with. So changing our minds, practicing that. Great. Have a good trip. Yeah. Right. Any other thoughts or comments or inspirations? Are you okay with the power to tolerate and the power to adjust and see those a little differently and might play with those? You okay with that? Joe, is there someone else? Yeah, they want to hear on Zoom, so we like to use the microphone so that all right. So I think the universe is telling you that that's not necessarily a good thing to be doing. Okay, so you were right. Congratulations. I know you lost, but you were right that you were going to lose. So there's I have a very okay. So all right, and we have all heard that, so we will empower you so that you won't do that again. Yeah, very good. Excellent. Okay, great. Thanks, sir. I'm going to see if there's one more comment if anybody wants to. Anybody else traveling or concerned? It's not the easiest time to do much. You never know what's going to happen. So it's important to have a practice and empower ourselves. Okay. Sure. Is the power fading? Okay. It's could be. Was it off the whole time or on? Okay. Try it again. So we're hearing of a trip to Egypt, trust, and it was wonderful. So very good. Okay. So we're going to wind down, I believe. Michelle, the microphone's not working. So it's on Zoom. Sorry about that. Right, we need to get some batteries. We will adjust that microphone to make it work. It will not tolerate its current condition. Okay. So if it's all right, let's see if we can empower ourselves with a little reflection. So if you can, take a deep breath and exhale. Feel relaxed. Going into the inner thinking of ourselves. Who am I? Spiritual being. Tap into the qualities that are available and natural. See yourself at peace, calm, tense. Going into a personal silence. As we experience that silence, that quiet inside of ourselves, we're using the power of thought to choose. Choose to see ourselves relaxed, calm. And our natural qualities start to emerge. And empowering ourselves, focusing on what is possible, truth of ourselves. I make choices. I have access to peace, joy. I hold that thought. I am a being of peace. This is my nature. The more I practice that, the more I hold on to it, the more I can access that. Wherever I may go, and whatever trip I might be on. It's easier to know that if I can't do something, let me use my power to tolerate and create the experience, peace inside. I see something and I know I have to do, and use the courage in action. Adjust my behaviors to accomplish what it is that I want. So thank you for being here. Thank you for practicing your peace. Thank you for being powerful. And thank you for next week too. Shanti. Yeah. I will make an announcement for Sunday. We're expecting you not to stay here until Sunday, but we would like you to come back because we are going to celebrate the International Day of Yoga. There's a United Nations declared day. It's the 21st of June. We're doing it a week early because schedule issues. But on Sunday, 2:30 to 4:30, there's going to be a presentation. There's going to be music. There's going to be dialogue. And the theme, I believe the topic is remembrance, the essence of yoga. And so what is it that we do? How do we get there? Should be quite fascinating. You are quite welcome. It is going to be a summary day. Won't be a record, but after the program, there's going to be chit chat, reception, refreshments, rain in the backyard. And you're very much welcome. Fascinating. If you like this, that's going to be 20 times better. So see you Sunday. See you next Thursday. Continue your practice so that you come powerful, and whatever happens, you'll be able to tolerate or adjust. Thank you. Shanti. Sunday, 2:30. Next Thursday, we have a program, and he's correct on that. And next Sunday, this coming Sunday, in 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days, there will be a different program. We like to have programs. We like to have you at the programs. We like the programs to be good with you at them. So see you Thursday, see you Sunday. And if you walk by, I'll see you on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every day. You're welcome to pass by. Om Shanti, everyone. Take care. Thanks so much. All right. Thanks. Hope to see you soon again. All right. Take care.